watching this video, there are a few things you need to know. First, place value. Not only do you need to be familiar with place value to the left of the decimal point, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, but also place value to the right of the decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You also need to know how to multiply multi-digit numbers. For example, you should be able to multiply 45 and 15. You also should be familiar with dividing decimals. If you haven't already viewed Dividing Decimals Part 1, please go back and view that video before watching this one. Let's get started. Welcome to Roxy's Revelations. I'm your host, Mrs. B. Today we're going to be looking at decimals and talking about how to divide decimals. Now you should have already viewed Dividing Decimals Part 1, so we're going to jump right into today's follow-up lesson, Dividing Decimals Part 2. Let's get started. Let's do a problem together. Read the problem to yourself as I read it aloud. Remember to use place value as you read. 5 and 25 hundredths divided by 25 hundredths. Great job. Now, can you tell me which number is the dividend? If you said 5 and 25 hundredths, that's correct. What about the divisor? If you said 25 hundredths, that's correct. This problem is like saying I have $5.25 and I want to divide my money into quarters. How many quarters would I have? The number of quarters will be our quotient. Now this problem is different than the problems we saw in Dividing Decimals Part 1. It's different because now we have a decimal point in both our dividend and our divisor. Now when we're dividing numbers, it's much easier to divide our dividend by a divisor that's a whole number, 5, 7, 12, 15, than it is a decimal. So our first step is to make our divisor a whole number. We do that by moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. 1, 2. 25 hundredths is now 25. When we move the decimal point 2 places, that's like multiplying our divisor by 100, because it's now 100 times the size. Now what we do to the outside, we must also do to the inside. So we'll move our decimal point in 5 and 25 hundredths 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So our dividend is now 525. Now our next step is to bring up our decimal point. So let's do that. And now we're just going to divide as usual. Let's do it together. How many times can 25 go into 5? 0. What about 52? Twice. 2 times 5 is 10. We write the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Let's subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 5 minus 5 is 0. Let's bring down our 5. How many times can 25 go into 25? That's easy. Once. 1 times 25 is 25. We'll subtract, and we get 0. Let's read our quotient together. 21. Now remember, we still need to check our work. Let's do it together. Now our quotient is 21, and our divisor is 25 hundredths. If we multiply the two, we should get our dividend of 5 and 25 hundredths. Let's do that now. 21 times 25 hundredths. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. We need a placeholder. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now let's add these to get our final product. 5 plus nothing is 5. 0 plus 2 is 2. and 1 plus 4 is 5. Now what's our final step? If you said accounting for our decimal, you're correct. We don't have any digits to the right of our decimal in 21, but we do have 2 digits to the right of our decimal in 25 hundredths. So we're going to move our decimal point 2 places to the left. 1, 2. Let's rewrite our product. 5 and 25 hundredths. That matches our dividend, so our quotient of 21 is correct. Great job. Let's do another problem together. Read the problem to yourself as I read it aloud. 5 and 886 thousandths divided by 45 hundredths. Now the first thing we need to do is move our decimal point in our divisor so it's a whole number. We're going to move our decimal point twice. 1, 2. Now our divisor is 45. Now what we do to the outside, we must also do to the inside. Let's move our decimal point 2 places to the right. 1, 2. Our dividend now reads 588 and 6 tenths. Now what's the next thing we need to do? If you said bring up the decimal point, you're correct. Now we're just going to divide as usual. How many times can 45 go into 5? 0. What about 58? Once. 1 times 45 is 45. And let's subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now we're going to bring down our 8. How many times can 45 go into 138? 3 times. If you didn't know that 45 could go into 138 3 times, you could always try multiplication problems to the side until you came close to 138 without going over. 3 times 5 is 15. We write the 5, carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Let's subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Now we're going to bring down our 6. Can 45 go into 36? No, it can't. 45 is too big. So we'll write a 0. Now, we're going to need to add a 0 here because we're done bringing down numbers and we haven't gotten rid of what's remaining. So we're going to add a 0. And how many times can 45 go into 360? 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. We write the 0, carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36. When we subtract, we get 0. So there's nothing remaining. That means we're done. Let's read our final quotient together. 13 and 8 hundredths. Now remember, we always need to check our work. Let's check our work together. In this problem, our quotient is 13 and 8 hundredths, and our divisor is 45 hundredths. When we multiply the two, we should get our dividend of 5 and 886 thousandths. Let's check our work. 13 and 8 hundredths times 45 hundredths. 5 times 8 is 40. We write the 0, carry the 4. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. 5 times 3 is 15. We write the 5, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Now we need a placeholder. We're moving on to our tenths place. 4 times 8 is 32. We write the 2, carry the 3. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. We write the 2 and carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Now let's add these together to get our final product. 0 plus nothing is 0. 4 plus 2 is 6. 5 plus 3 is 8. 6 plus 2 is 8. And 5 plus nothing is 5. Now what's the last thing we need to do? If you said account for the decimal, that's correct. We have 1, 2 digits to the right of our decimal in our top number, and 1, 2 digits to the right of our decimal in our bottom number. So we're going to move our decimal point 4 places to the left. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's rewrite our final product. And we're going to leave out the 0 because it doesn't change the value of our number. 5 and 886 thousandths. That matches our dividend, so our quotient of 13 and 800 is correct. Great job. Are you ready to try an even more challenging problem? If so, keep watching. If not, that's okay. Feel free to restart this video or watch any of the previous videos until you're ready to move on. Okay, here we go. Read the problem to yourself as I read it aloud. 94 and 2/10 divided by 16 hundredths. Great job. Now what's the first thing we need to do? If you said move the decimal point in our divisor, that's correct. We're going to move it twice. 1, 2. And we're going to do the same thing to our dividend. 1, 2. I moved the decimal point twice, but there's no number here. What should I do? We're going to add a 0. When we move the decimal point twice, that's like multiplying our number by 100. If we had 94 and 2/10 and we multiplied it by 100, we would have 9,420. So the 0, it's okay. Now what's our next step? If you said move the decimal point up, that's correct. Now let's divide as usual. How many times can 16 go into 9? 0. What about 94? 5. 5 times 6 is 30. We write the 0, carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. Let's subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 9 minus 8 is 1. Now we'll bring down our 2. How many times can 16 go into 142? Again, if you don't know, you can always do multiplication problems to the side until you get close to 142 without going over. In this case, it can go in 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. We write the 8 and carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 4 is 12. Let's subtract. We can't do 2 minus 8, so we're going to have to borrow from our 4. Our 4 becomes a 3, and we add 10 to our 2. 12 minus 8 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Now we're going to bring down our 0. How many times can 16 go into 140? 8 times. We already know that 8 times 16 is 128. So let's subtract 128 again. We can't do 0 minus 8, so we're going to borrow from our 4. It becomes a 3, and we add 10 to our 0. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so we're out of numbers, but we still have something remaining. And because we're dividing decimals, we shouldn't have anything left over. So we're going to have to add an additional 0 and continue working out the problem. How many times can 16 go into 120? 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. We write the 2, carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. Let's subtract. Now we can't do 0 minus 2, so we're going to need to borrow from the 2. That becomes a 1, and we add 10 to our 0. 10 minus 2 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Now we still have 8 remaining, but remember, because we're dividing here and dividing decimals, we can't have a remainder. So we need to continue working the problem out. We're going to bring down an additional 0. How many times does 16 go into 80? 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. We write the 0, carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. 80 minus 80 is 0. Let's read our final quotient together. 588 and 75 hundredths. Now remember, we still need to check our answer using multiplication. Let's do it together. In this problem, our quotient is 588 and 75 hundredths, and our divisor is 16 hundredths. If we multiply the two, we should get our original dividend of 94 and 2/10. Let's check our work. 588 and 75 hundredths times 16 hundredths. 6 times 5 is 30. We write the 0, carry the 3. 6 times 7 is 42, plus 3 is 45. We write the 5 and carry the 4. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 4 is 52. We write the 2, carry the 5. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 5 is 53. We write the 3, carry the 5. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. Now let's add our placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. Let's add these so we can get our final product. 0 plus nothing is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. We write the 0, carry the 1. 2 plus 7 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 3 plus 8 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 5 plus 8 is 13. Plus 1 is 14. Write the 4, carry the 1. 3 plus 5 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Now let's account for our decimal. We have 1, 2 digits to the right of the decimal in our first number, and 1, 2 digits to the right of the decimal in our second number. So we're going to move our decimal point 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to rewrite our product without these extra zeros. 94 and 2/10. That matches our original dividend, so our quotient of 588 and 75/100 is correct. Great job. Congratulations, you've made it to problem 4. There's only one problem left, and then the bonus word problem with Roxy. Hang in there, we're almost done. Read the problem to yourself as I read it aloud. 33 and 1,708 10,000ths divided by 52 hundredths. Great job. Now go ahead and try this problem on your own. When you see the word pause appear on your screen, click pause. When you've got your answer, click play. Good luck! Are you ready to check your answer? Let's see how you did. You should have gotten 63 and 79 hundredths. If you did, great job. Feel free to continue on to Roxy's word stories. If you didn't, that's okay. Let's go over the problem together. We're going to move our decimal point twice in 52 hundredths, and it's going to become 52. Then we're going to move our decimal point twice on our dividend. 1, 2. What's the next step? If you said bring up the decimal point, that's correct. Now we can just divide as usual. How many times can 52 go into 3? 0. What about 33? 0 again. How many times can 52 go into 331? 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. We write the 2, carry the 1. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Let's subtract. We can't subtract 2 from 1, so we'll borrow from our 3. That will become a 2, and we'll add 10 to our 1. 11 minus 2 is 9. 2 minus 1 is 1, and 3 minus 3 is 0. Now let's bring down our 7. How many times can 52 go into 197? If you said 3, that's correct. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. Let's subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. 9 minus 5 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. Now let's bring down our 0. How many times can 52 go into 410? It can go in 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. We write the 4, carry the 1. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36. Let's subtract. We can't subtract 4 from 0, so we need to borrow from the 1. It becomes a 0, and our 0, we're going to add 10 to that. 10 minus 4 is 6. 0 minus 6. We can't do that, so we need to borrow from our 4. It will become a 3, and we'll add 10 to our 0. 10 minus 6 is 4, and 3 minus 3 is 0. Now we've got one more number to bring down. How many times can 52 go into 468? 9 times. 9 times 2 is 18. We carry the 1. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 1 is 46. 468 minus 468 is 0, so we have nothing remaining. Let's read our final quotient together. 63 and 79 hundredths. Now remember, we still need to check our work. Let's do it together. In this problem, our quotient is 63 and 79 hundredths, and our divisor is 52 hundredths. If we multiply these two, we should get our original dividend of 33 and 1,708 ten-thousandths. Let's go ahead and check our work. 2 times 9 is 18. Write the 8, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 1 is 15. Write the 5, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. 2 times 6 is 12. Let's write our placeholder and continue multiplying. 5 times 9 is 45. We write the 5, carry the 4. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 4 is 39. Write the 9, carry the 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. Write the 8, carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Let's add these together to get our final product. 8 plus nothing is 8. 5 plus 5 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 7 plus 9 is 16. Plus 1 is 17. Write the 7, carry the 1. 2 plus 8 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Write the 1, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. And 3 plus nothing is 3. Now what's the last thing we need to do? If you said account for our decimal, that's correct. We have 2 digits to the right of our decimal in the first number. We have 2 digits to the right of our decimal in our second number. So we're going to move our decimal point 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's rewrite our final product. 33 and 1,708 ten-thousandths. That matches our original dividend, so it looks like our quotient of 63 and 79 hundredths is correct. Great job. It's now time for Roxy's word problem of the day, which we like to call Roxy's Word Stories. Let's read today's word story together. Roxy and her friend Benji are on the planning committee for the upcoming dance. After totaling all of the costs associated with the dance, there's only $19.25 before tax left in the budget for balloons. Roxy and Benji want to know how many balloons they can buy if each balloon at the party store costs 21 cents. See if you can help Roxy with her revelation. Click pause and start the video when you're ready to help Roxy. Good luck. Welcome back. So how many balloons can Roxy and Benji buy for the dance? If you got 91, that's correct. Great job. Roxy and Benji have $19.25 to spend on balloons. Each balloon costs 21 cents. When we divide those two numbers, our quotient is 91 decimal point 6 repeating. So they don't quite have enough for 92 balloons, but they can definitely buy 91 balloons for the dance. Now if you got a different answer, that's okay. Let's do the problem together. Now the first thing we need to do is move our decimal points. So we're dividing by a whole number. 21 cents will become $21. Now we're going to move our decimal point in our dividend twice as well. 1, 2. We'll move up our decimal point and divide as usual. How many times can 21 go into 1? 0. What about 19? 0. What about 192? 9 times. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Let's subtract. We can't subtract 9 from 2, so we're going to borrow from the other 9. It will become an 8, and we'll add 10 to our 2. 12 minus 9 is 3. 8 minus 8 is 0. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Let's bring down our 5. How many times can 21 go into 35? 1 time. 1 times 21 is 21. Let's subtract. 5 minus 1 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. Now we still have 14 remaining, but remember, because we're dividing decimals, we need to continue to work the problem out. We're going to add a 0 and bring it down. How many times can 21 go into 140? 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Let's subtract. We'll borrow from our 4, that will become a 3, and we'll add 10 to our 0. 10 minus 6 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Let's add another 0 and bring it down. How many times can 21 go into 140? 6 times, just like before. 6 times 21 is 126. If we continue to add zeros and bring them down, we're going to continue to get 6 as our answer. So this 6 will continue on forever and ever. It's going to be 6 repeating. It's a repeating decimal. So let's stop there and see how many balloons that Roxy and Benji can buy. Can they afford to buy part of a balloon? Do you ever buy part of a balloon? No. So our whole number in our quotient is 91. So that means that Roxy and Benji can buy 91 balloons. Great job. I hope you've enjoyed our time together and feel even more comfortable dividing decimals than you did before. If things are still a little fuzzy for you, that's okay. Feel free to watch this video or any of the previous videos again to help clear things up. If you feel good about the work we've done today, congratulations, you're ready to move on. See you next time.